All right, welcome back for another exciting episode of the Money Pillow podcast. Today we have an awesome interview with Georgia Hoyer, who is 28 from Denver, Colorado, and started TrekPak, I guess last year in 2012. And, I could begin to describe it and explain it, but I will just say this. It's a business. She started with Kickstarter, which is a great model. Several other people that we've had on have used that. And it really blew up. I think you came close to tripling your goal that you were looking to hit.
Yeah, we did. Yep.
Tripled your goal and just created this great product. In fact, why don't you just tell us your story and tell us about the product real quick, Georgia?
So the product kind of came about. I was a travel and wedding photographer and really couldn't find a comfortable bag to carry all of my gear in when I'm running around various countries. And so I came back from a 6-week backpacking trip through Vietnam and Cambodia and said, never again. It was 35 pounds of camera gear, around 20 pounds of survival gear, and it was just brutal. So got back to Denver and tried to figure out a way to get all of my camera gear into my hiking backpack because I absolutely loved it. And so kind of bounced ideas off of my roommate, who's a mechanical engineer, and we came up with this really great concept of taking a corrugated material and line it with a really high-performance foam and then utilize these U-shaped pins so that we could compartmentalize out my hiking bag with a rigid structure. But then the benefit was that we could rearrange the dividers wherever we wanted. And so while that wasn't really the starting point for what I was looking for, it kind of became this huge value that the product had. And so,
what do you mean by that? It wasn't the starting point for what I was looking for.
For me, it was strictly comfort. I just wanted to be able to get my camera gear into my backpack. And
aren't there already the existing kind of divider systems that are out there in bags?
There were, but the problem that we found, we tried Velcro at first with kind of like a flexible foam, but
is that available on the market now?
For like any backpack?
Yeah, so some of the camera bags, like the backpack ones, they have all the dividers where you can put different lenses, the body, and whatnot. Do they now? I mean, because I remember watching your Kickstarter video, and there was a Velcro one. Like I don't own one of those awesome cameras and have a bag, so I don't really know. But when I watched your Kickstarter video, it showed you kind of playing around with the Velcro ones. Does that exist in the market now? The Velcro ones?
So the Velcro does exist in the market, but you have to buy it pre-installed in a camera bag.
So it's fit, custom made just for that bag, and you may be able to rearrange it just a little bit, but it's
right.
Okay, awesome. Keep going. Okay, and then
we tried the Velcro in a flexible type foam, but just in the way that my hiking bag was designed, we needed more structure and rigidity, and so we ended up completely changing the system, and by changing the system to fit my bag, it allowed us to come up with this really modular way of organizing out the bag. So it kind of became a 2-for-1 when that wasn't the original intent.
And what was the original intent?
Just to get my camera gear inside of a hiking backpack for my needs.
Oh, got it. So that you can put other stuff in there as well in each section of your hiking backpack and not have to carry a camera bag and a hiking backpack.
Right, exactly.
At the time, I don't know if you mentioned this a minute ago, but at the time you were a travel photographer, right?
Yes.
Okay, very cool. So I love it. So that came from a really practical need, and there was nothing in the market that existed like that. The only divider systems that were out there were were made specifically for certain bags. You had to buy the bag, and it came with it. It sounds like, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And
exactly.
And what TrekPak is, if I'm not mistaken, is just like a giant roll that you can kind of line your bag any which way you want, and then is it a roll that you cut pieces off of, or do the pieces come separate?
So we actually have 3 separate product lines right now. We partnered with an Alpine backpack company that's based out of Germany, and we make an insert specific for one of their bags, which is what was in our Kickstarter video. And then we do that roll system, which has Velcro on one side. So if you have the camera bag, you can rip out all of your Velcro dividers and then take that roll, you line the perimeter of your bag, and then you receive also all the dividers to organize out the internals of the system.
Got it.
And then we have custom fit inserts for a variety of Pelican and Storm cases.
Are those the more popular brands for photography?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we started with them. We've been slowly branching out into other case models, but Pelican is just so widely used by photography, overland, military, scuba, that it seemed like a natural choice for us.
Okay. And if anybody's listening, I'll put if you're listening to this in the car on the podcast and not watching it on the website, I'll put a link below this to your website. So is the Kickstarter video on your website, or a video that's that good and kind of showing what it does?
It's not on our website, but we do link to our Kickstarter.
You do? Okay, I'll put a link to your website. And
yeah.
I thought that Kickstarter video was phenomenal. It really displayed exactly what it did. It didn't surprise me we were so successful with it, because the video was perfect. So I'll put a link to both on there so you can see exactly what we're talking about. But it really, when I saw it, I was like, man, this is amazing. I've never seen anything like it. But again, I'm not like a camera junkie or person. I just don't have a lot of. I wish I had a nice camera. I need to get one, actually. I love photography. But when I saw it, I thought it seemed so smart. And it's just amazing that no one else had thought of that at the time. And you guys, if I'm not mistaken, you have patents on this, right?
We do. We're currently patent pending. Yep.
Yeah, and I got to ask, earlier you said it was made out of corrugated plastic, kind of lined with some really nice, was it just padding or pad or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys go out and grab like a Vote for Obama sign out of the yard or whatever and cut that up as your first prototype?
Yeah, so actually it's funny. Our first prototype was a garage sale sign from Home Depot.
The corrugated plastic ones, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then we went down to the Michael's Craft Store and got some foam that we thought was maybe about the right thickness of what we wanted, and we literally were in the driveway like spray gluing foam onto corrugated plastic, and then went to Home Depot and bought this long aluminum bar and snipped it with metal snippers, and we're like bending our pins on the vise and all that. So it was great.
It's just amazing. Like I'm surprised you went to all those lengths, and but it's awesome that you did, because I'm sure when you got it all done, put it together, you're like, this is actually pretty cool.
Well, yeah, exactly. I put it together and I went, well, it works for my needs. So showed it to a couple photographers that I know in the industry, and said, hey, would you like this? And then put together a whole white paper with images of it, our competition, price points, all of that. And then somebody mentioned Kickstarter, and we did that. So
that's amazing. Okay, let's go back to that today. So we got kind of through. You got the idea, you got the concept, you built your first prototype. What was that time frame like from the time you came back and said, I wish there was a better way to carry all this stuff, to having that day in the driveway where you're putting everything together?
So I came back from the international travel trip in August of 2011. And then we had built a Velcro and foam prototype around Thanksgiving of 2011. And then end of January, beginning of February, we came up with this pin concept and did that first prototype, and then actually did a couple more prototypes along the way, and then we launched our Kickstarter in April.
Wow. So you guys were kind of hustling.
We kind of rock and rolled a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, that's, did you have, when you guys launched the Kickstarter, did you have kind of manufacturing lines all tied up?
Oh, no. Not at all. No.
Okay, this is going to be good. So you launch your Kickstarter, and that delivers what, $43,000 or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yep, we were asking for $15,000, and we ended up with just under $50,000.
And how did that become so wildly successful? Was there anything that happened that sent it over the top, or was it just kind of organic and exploded? Or
so we launched the Kickstarter on a Sunday night, and I actually took a red eye out to Seattle, and I woke up the next day with emails, all over the place, with us being, front page Popular Photography magazine, Gizmodo.
You're kidding me.
No. I walk off the plane in Seattle at 3:00 in the morning, and someone from Gizmag is on the phone with me saying, what's going on? How do I get a story? What can we do?
You're kidding me.
No.
At 3 a.m, how did they get your number, and why were they calling you at 3 a.m?
Oh no, I'm telling you, when the press wants to find a way, they will find a way.
Were you like, I'm sleeping, dork?
Yeah,
Call me
I'm
later.
saying, yeah, but
That's
um,
amazing. All right.
so and just it was like once one place picked it up, everybody else kind of wanted it, and it pinged off of itself.
And it went
So,
bananas. Yeah.
yeah. So I think it's mainly because it kind of has that wow factor in that market because there was nothing like it, and people just it wasn't like we reinvented the water bottle or and added something different. It was
No,
just
it
a
was like you
totally
invented
concept.
water, basically. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, photographers they're geeks and they love their gear and they'll do anything to buy something that's new and exciting. And so it just kind of went off.
Yeah, not only is it new and exciting, it's pretty awesome. I mean, I would imagine anybody would love to have it versus whatever they're using now.
Right. Yeah.
I
We hope,
did.
we think.
What's that?
We think so.
Yeah.
We like it.
I can imagine. Yeah, when I was younger, I used to film a lot of skateboarding, and me and my friends would skate. We'd make little home videos, and so I did carry around back then. I'm just now remembering a couple lenses and batteries and cords and all this stuff. And yeah, I can just remember batteries sitting on top of lenses. And,
Oh yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so that's pretty amazing. So okay, so you launch it, you get off the plane, and you're just like la di da di di, and freaking the phone's ringing.
Right.
Gizmodo's on. You look at your email at 3 in the morning, and it's blown up.
Yeah.
And what were sales like on Kickstarter at that point? What was it, 12 hours later after you went live with it?
So we had fulfilled our goal in I think 9 hours, if I remember
You're
right.
kidding me.
No, it was ridiculous.
That's beyond ridiculous. Wow.
It was great.
I
mean,
got to
it
start
just,
thinking of some products for the photography market.
right? Exactly.
Yeah, I'm sure you're like 9 products deep already.
I know, I was going to say, we've got a whole bunch more in here already.
Okay.
We're just waiting to get through this one and get it kind of doing its own thing so that we can start. We're really jazzed and ready to go on to the next one that we've got. So.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so let's keep moving. So, and I was kidding. I have no desire to get into the photography space, by the way. And if I do, I'll call you.
If you have an idea, just let me know.
I will. All right, so you guys, you hit your goal, 9 hours. You're on the front page of every major photography blog publication there is out there. Everybody's loving it. Let's just fast forward through that first 30 days. Or I mean, you guys probably got started right away. What are the next steps? Was it start calling China and find a manufacturer, or start going to Michael's and buy more foam and corrugated garage sale signs?
Well, and that's the one thing, to be honest, we didn't really think about. We had originally...
It probably won't be successful, so we don't need to worry about this.
Right? No, we had actually done the Kickstarter. My motivation for it was to market test, to see if it was actually an idea that people would really like. And so I thought, all right, cross your fingers. If we're lucky, we're going to hit 15,000 and we'll have maybe 70 of these bag things that, we have to make. And so...
How much are they?
What?
How much do they cost?
So our insert retails for $120, and our system plus the Deuter Freerider Pro bag retails for $280.
Got it. Okay. Is that what the majority of people were buying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mainly because that's what the Kickstarter video showed. So.
Got it. Okay. Keep going.
So
now you realize you actually have to make them.
Well, yeah. So that was the thing is that we ended up with 3 times as many orders as we thought. So we went, well, good grief, this can't really be a garage project anymore because it's way different than what we thought. And we proved market viability.
Yeah.
So
now you have something that you can sell forever.
Right. So we took a step back, and we actually took about a day and a half to 2 days to really decide what we wanted to do. Did we want to just fulfill the Kickstarter orders and be done with it? Or did we want to do a business and push forward with it? And
I'm sorry, I didn't even ask. What were you doing prior? Oh, you were a travel photographer.
I was just a photographer.
Got it,
right.
Yeah. I was just a photographer. Listen to you.
Right. And so we kind of, maybe it's just my personality, but we had already jumped off the cliff without knowing how far down the water was. So I kind of said, well, let's figure out how to fly on the way back up. Why not? And so I actually brought in a third business partner who was legal counsel to make sure that we had all of those ducks in a line before we did all of this. And then we really just went to town on the R&D side and really tried to finalize out what we wanted to do.
How does that look, though? Because you can't possibly be getting the materials you're using now at Michael's. I think you have more higher quality stuff, right?
Yeah, so what we did, we went from Michael's immediately to looking, we contacted foam distributors in the Denver area and said, okay, what manufacturers of foam are out there, and got samples from all around the world for different pieces of the product, different samples of the corrugated plastic.
Was there people already making that corrugated plastic with foam on it?
No.
Got it.
Well,
okay.
actually, no, there is a company that does it, but they weren't doing it in the thickness that we needed,
Right.
and the foam, like if you rubbed on it with something, it would fall apart. It would get marred too quickly, and so that wouldn't work with inserting and pulling out gear.
Right. So what did you do? Put it in nylon or something?
So we ended up finding and then in addition to the wear and tear aspect that we really needed to be highly functional, that photographer side of me, I had a huge, I felt the aesthetic component of the product was also really important. So
So important, yeah. Yeah.
Finding a foam that...
no, I'm being serious. I really believe in
like
presenting your product in the most amazing fashion possible.
Exactly. So it had to not only functionally work phenomenally, but it had to look good.
Yeah.
So we eventually found a foam after probably, I would say, a good 2.5 to 3 months of receiving samples at home, looking, doing...
dozens of samples?
Yeah, hundreds of samples. Hundreds and hundreds of samples. You wouldn't believe how many different types of foam there are out there.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine. So let me ask you this, because I'm going to forget, but when you are successful with the Kickstarter campaign, do you get that cash right away?
So Amazon and Kickstarter take a percentage, and it ends up being around, I think it's 7%. So you get all of that, yes, up front, less the portion that they take.
As soon as it's successful, or when the duration of the campaign ends?
When the duration of the campaign ends.
So you guys had a 30-day campaign, I believe, and after 30 days you got it, so now you can afford to party and just live the good life. No, I'm kidding.
Oh yeah, our party was like, let's go out and like buy an ice cream cone and like a flat of Red Bull.
Oh, that's too funny. You know what? I had one of the very first interviews we did for this podcast. They had this huge goal, and their reward was literally ice cream.
Exactly.
Yeah. So okay. So now you 2-3 months later, you found the right foam, and corrugated plastic. I assume you just contacted a few manufacturers, got some samples, and that was fairly easy because it's just different thicknesses and strengths, right?
Yeah, we figured out what we wanted, and then we found a distributor that would work with us, and then we also needed consistency of they call them the flutes. It's the squares. Yeah. We needed consistency in that because with our pins, they had to fit exactly. So if our flutes were like skewed a little bit, then the pin wouldn't work. So that caused problems as well.
What do you mean by that? I'm just trying to wrap my brain around that, about being skewed.
Think about if you have that ladder type formation where you have the two top and bottom hard plastic lines, and then all those up and down vertical pieces which make our if you smush it slightly, your little squares, your flutes are not going to be square. They're going to be slightly oblong.
Got it. And so when you put your pen in, it's just not going to hold right or go in right. So and that was just literally like identifying the right corrugated material and being done with it, right?
It was finding the right material and then also working with the manufacturer to make sure that they controlled the manufacturing process.
Why? Because you were getting pieces that weren't very good, or
we were getting exactly.
That's a pretty sensitive material.
Yeah, well, and for them, it just has to do with the way that they process it, and nobody, to our knowledge, there's nobody using that type of corrugated material for a functional and aesthetic product value. It's usually garage sale signs or something like that. So there's no need to really care.
But the one I saw looked like a little bit thicker. Is it a little bit thicker, stronger material, or is it the same one, just manufactured really nice?
Which one do you mean?
In your Kickstarter video, the one you showed there, it looked legit, or maybe it was in some pictures I saw on your website. It looked like a little bit thicker than traditional garage sale signs.
So for our original Kickstarter campaign, we actually were debuting a ballistic nylon wrapped insert system. But because of issues with that consistency in the fluting and our decision to try and mass manufacture the product, we had a really difficult time trying to figure out how to wrap the divider system in that ballistic nylon material. So ended up initially scrapping or putting on the back burner the fabric, because we found the current foam that we're using, which you can actually scratch it with a pen and it won't rip or mar.
Wow.
So
the current foam you're using doesn't have any sort of material on it. It's just
material on it, exactly.
Beautiful. Okay, so how long did it take you guys to decide on? At this point, you're 3 months in. You've got your corrugated plastic. You've got your padding.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the right. Is that right? Okay, so you got those two things, and then manufacturing, putting the two together. Was that a do-it-yourself deal, or was that finding a manufacturer?
No, so we manufacture all of it here in Denver in our own production facility, because the manufacturing process, there are tools that we have to use in order to get the product to look the way that it does, which are also completely proprietary. So right now we get to have really good control on exactly what leaves, because it's leaving our facility.
So, and when you say the tools, like, did you guys invent new hammers and new kinds of screwdrivers and stuff like that?
Yeah, we invented new cutting instruments.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, this could be a whole nother. We could just keep going on and on about the manufacturing. It just blows me away. Like, and my hope was to try and uncover, that whole step, which I think we're there. But it's gotten extremely complicated, and I'm sure, like, if you had known, like, getting into it, all that was involved, it may have been enough of a deterrent to keep you out of it. So
it would have. To be honest, people have said, if you knew what you know now, would you have done it? And I said, well, I would have at least thought. I probably would have, because that's just me. But I would have thought about it a lot more in detail than I actually did.
Got it. And they don't mean, when they mean done it the way you did it, not just done the business in general, right?
Yeah, they kind of both, I think. Yeah.
Okay. And all right. So just moving on. So you are manufacturing everything in there. You have patents on the product. You're, let's see, 4 months down the road, 5 months down the road. When did you start shipping? Was it in November, right?
Yeah, the very last week of November, we started shipping. So, actually, we started shipping. We shipped all of our Kickstarter pledges. So when we decided to not go with the ballistic nylon wrap material, and we went with this really highly durable performance foam, we gave all of our Kickstarter backers the option to either defer until we release a fabric version, or they could get the current product, which, to our belief, is just as high standard and aesthetically beautiful as the nylon wrapped material. And so because they had waited and didn't receive their pledges as early as we had hoped, we shipped their stuff out in October, and then we actually waited over 30 days before we started opening the door up to end consumers, because we really wanted to kind of thank them for waiting and being on this journey and supporting the idea before the general public could be able to have access to it.
Got it. Okay. And then so you shipped 700-800 units, something like that, from the Kickstarter campaign, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you guys have now done, and out of curiosity, are margins pretty good?
For being a USA-made product, they're not bad. And they're the highest that they're ever going to be for us. So we're happy and we're excited.
Why do you say that?
Because for us, the materials that we're using, it all comes down to minimum order quantity. So, and then you can get custom run materials. So you spend a little bit more upfront, but cost per square inch or square foot or whatever ends up being a whole lot lower as time goes on.
Got it. Okay. All right, and then okay, so that makes sense. So margins will get tighter a little bit, but whatever. You're doing more and more business, so
Right.
revenues
Exactly.
are up. Yeah. Okay, I get it. So things are good. You ship those. What was that? So you guys did at least $45,000 in revenue in your first year. What was the rest of that first 12 months like? You said you waited a month, so in November you began shipping to people who were buying not through Kickstarter but through your website at this point.
Right.
And when you got all that Kickstarter coverage, you didn't get any to your website probably at all. It was probably just to the Kickstarter campaign, right?
Right. Exactly. Which for web traffic and Google hits and all of that, I mean, it's not the greatest because everybody's going to Kickstarter, and now we're trying to defer people, obviously, to our website to get the product more well known, and everything goes to Kickstarter. So.
Can they still buy on Kickstarter?
Well, they don't still buy on Kickstarter, but we have people that still find us through Kickstarter, and then they contact us through Kickstarter and say, hey, do you have a product? How do I get this? And so we then have to defer them to our website.
Can you put an update on your campaign?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Just
people
saying,
still, consumers are consumers. They still just don't really pay
Do you have an update on there directing people back to your site?
Yeah, we should. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. If you don't, I would say that would be obviously like a good thing because people probably want it and they can't. Okay, so how many units did you ship just through the laws of traffic, I guess, and people discovering you from the Kickstarter campaigns after you fulfilled all of the Kickstarter folks?
Ooh, through now.
No, not through now yet. Just through that first year. So through I guess April or whatever.
Through April. Oh, geez. Probably at least 800. I would say.
So you guys came close, or you're close to somewhere around $100,000 in revenue that first year.
Yeah, if you include Kickstarter, yeah.
Are you doing at that point? Were you doing as well, better, or worse than you were as a travel photographer?
Oh, for me, like personally, or just as I'm
financially,
like business to business comparison.
Yeah. No, financially. So I mean, you were making hypothetically $40,000 a year as a travel photographer, and now that first year, out of the first year of business, you've made an equal amount, lesser amount, higher amount.
I would say less, but what we chose to do was we chose to keep the majority of the money in the business in order to continue pushing everything forward, because as we went through the R&D process, it ended up costing a whole lot more, $50,000, to be able to do that. So we wanted to make sure that the business would stay funded and then thus survive, and we wouldn't have to bring in outside investors and give away 80% of the company for $500,000, because in 5 years we knew we'd be kicking ourselves.
Do you guys have any outside investors at this point?
We do, yes.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, moving along. You do 800 packs, roughly $100,000 that first year. What was year 2 like? Or I guess that would have been this year, huh?
This year, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right now we're sitting at about 60% growth month over month. So we're pretty ecstatic.
Holy.
Yeah.
Cow.
Yeah.
So you guys have done more than $100,000 already this year, then?
Yeah, we're rocking and rolling.
Yeah. I think. Can you tell me what you guys think you'll do projected this year?
Projected. Originally, when we had done our projections in January, we had projected around 750. But
and I'm sure you were projecting 60% growth month over month in January, so the number's got to be higher, right?
Well, it was, but we weren't projecting that amount of growth for the entire year, because we knew based on what our market was and the seasons that there were going to be months where we had a much higher growth rate. For photographers, that's going to be May through August, just because that's when they're in their max for their revenue for their season. So
because that's the big wedding seasons, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's wedding, it's travel,
it's everything. Yeah, you're right.
Film, all that. So, and we knew that coming in fall we were going to slow down. So, and then we associated it based on press coverage we knew we were going to get or not get, and then any trade shows that we attended.
So are you guys going to hit the 7-figure mark this year, do you think?
I don't know. We have to take a look back. We actually haven't redone our numbers in the past couple months, so we need to go back and see. I would say, based on the trend that we've been following, anything's possible.
Yeah. But it'll be close regardless, and it's a phenomenal growth from year over year. Was there anything you guys did after Kickstarter ended that really brought in a lot of sales or kind of boosted those sales? Because I can't imagine. I mean, maybe there was a good word of mouth thing, but what did you guys do, I guess, to really get out there and crush it like that? I mean, that's phenomenal growth. You know that.
Oh, I know. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're absolutely over the moon about it. After Kickstarter ended, we just really, because Kickstarter gave us so much press that we weren't expecting, we tried to hold on to it for as long as we could. So we started utilizing Twitter and Facebook and really build a good relationship with those Kickstarter backers to keep them interested in what we were doing. Because if we kept talking about us, they would keep talking about us. And that's really what we wanted. And, we really worked to build good relationships with any of the press and editors that had run stories on us and thank them as much as we could. And then in January, we went to Imaging USA down in Atlanta. And
is that a big conference for photography?
Yeah, it's the Professional Photographers of America. It's one of their big conferences. So went out and we actually debuted the product there and got a great result from it. And from there, we really tried to network with not only the end consumers, but the bigger houses like Sony and Nikon and Tamrac. These big people that are shipping a variety of product around the world all the time, and they need that limitless reconfigurability and added protection, which our product has.
And you've got the patent on it, right? Or patent pending.
Yeah.
So that's so brilliant. You've got it kind of locked down. And did you get any, from those strategic relationships or networking, did you get any business relationships out of it?
We did. So right now we have a bunch of rental lens houses that if you go and rent a lens kit, our system's inside of it. So
like borrowed lenses?
Yeah. Yep.
Can you hook me up with a deal from there?
I don't know. Probably not.
I'm just kidding. I saw that pop up on
the deal because I would be renting. I wouldn't be in the office. I'd be out shooting if they just send me gear.
I know. I was on Facebook and somehow they had an ad in my newsfeed. I clicked on it. And I'm like, holy cow! For like $400, I can have the most insane setup for a week. And
I know, right?
Yeah, it's such a great model. In fact, well, anyway, so. Very cool. So they have all your stuff. Did you make any progress with Sony, Nikon, or any of the big camera companies?
So right now we're still in talks with them on getting their for Nikon. It's their forensic units that they teach. Most of the forensic departments in the country use Nikon gear, and so they have to pack and protect their gear, and so.
And forensics because they're taking camera equipment to document crime scenes. I guess is that right? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, if Nikon comes and stands behind us and says, TrekPak is the primary way that, we trust our gear to be safe, that opens up a whole separate market for us,
you think?
Within their camera gear. So, and even now we have police departments here in Colorado and then actually up in Nebraska that have their detective kits and all that outfitted with our system as well. So, it's interesting all the different uses that have come out of the woodwork since initially doing it for photography. That
you had no intention, I can imagine.
Right.
All right, so you went out, you reached out. I mean, what really though? It sounds like those were kind of some bigger picture things that have started to play out. Was it mainly just, would you say, from the networking that you did and the relationships that you built with the PR people? Because I can imagine if Gizmodo or somebody writes about you, you just see a flood of traffic to your site.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's probably some of the highest converting traffic you can get.
Right.
Is good PR stuff. So, I mean, was it that? And then were you doing outreach back out to them to say, hey, we just actually came out with a new product, a backpack, and really want to write about it? Or how did that look?
Yeah, so, we really just worked really, really hard on that personal networking side to be a company that these types of publications want to work with and want to talk about. And so anytime that we came out with something new or we had, a push into a different market or something, we would send out a press release and let them know. And, we made sure that we kept up to date and responded to them.
That's amazing. Would you say the PR relationships and that angle has driven the majority of sales or the largest share from any one kind of tactic or strategy?
I would say at this point, completely, yeah.
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 Well, you get such an easy story because it's just a great product, and there's nothing really like it out there. So,
right.
Anybody who's into that space, I can see why they would want to write about it. So that's awesome. All right, and then let's talk about just the business, I guess, and some automation and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So, when an order comes in, how does that process look? Is there someone handing a piece of paper to someone in the warehouse and they're making it, or is that you walking? I mean, like, you're not in the warehouse making these things, right?
No, so we have a facility which has offices in the front and then a manufacturing facility in the back. So we get an order, it comes in through our system, and then it'll actually print out into our office department, and manufacturing is alerted that we have a new order that comes in. So they'll come and they'll pick up the order queues, and if they don't, and I'm grabbing a cup of coffee, I'll grab them and take them back. And
what is it, just passing a piece of paper from one bin to another, basically?
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Why don't they just print out back in the back?
Because they would, but yeah, I don't know.
You guys just like to be up front and go, yes, we got another one. Yes, we got another one.
Right?
Yeah.
It's that Kickstarter model. We like the ding.
Yeah.
But no. It's good for me because if there's a special note on the order or there's something that needs to be done or I've interfaced with a client or somebody else in the office has interfaced with a client, we can then really quickly highlight something or we can let manufacturing know because they're producing so many orders that we're trying to reduce the number of order errors that happen. So
yeah, I would just get those horse whips.
Right, yeah, we thought about getting a pony whip, but
that or bamboo.
Yeah, our insurance told me that we can't do that. It's harassment.
That's crazy. You need to just move manufacturing outside of the U.S. because that's what they do in other countries. When people screw up like that, no, I'm just kidding. That's so awful.
I know my manufacturing guy's gonna kill me. He's gonna say what?
But I can tell you, as a kid who was spanked quite often, it was good at correcting behavior.
Well, yeah, it never happens again, right?
You got to figure out that verbal spanking. So anyway, I'm just teasing. But anyway, so the order comes in, and we just got off on a tangent about spanking your warehouse people. The order comes in, someone walks it back to the back, the manufacturing guys, and you have an issue right now, or one of your problems, which is a great problem, is just keeping up with demand. You guys are getting hammered, right?
Oh, completely, yeah.
So, and what is that? I mean, are you in the same office space you started in a year and a half ago, or have you had to grow and expand?
No. So a year and a half ago, we started in my garage.
Love it.
Right? Which was also doubling as my photography studio. And so that did not work very well at all. So we moved to, it was about a 200 square foot facility on the west side of Denver. And literally within about 30 days, we had outgrown that facility and realized it wasn't going to work. So now we have just under a 4,000 square foot facility.
You said 30 days?
Yeah.
I mean, how does that even look like?
Well, because we went from this is what we know we're going to do, and then when we realized how the manufacturing process had to go and the rate of interest in the product, we just decided that there was no point in setting roots in that environment because it was never going to work. So we just kind of picked up and left. Yeah.
And do you have to pay a bunch of months' rent until someone got in there?
No, we found someone else to cover it, so we were good.
Oh, they did?
No, well, we did. We found somebody that needed a facility like that, so they took over and sublet it from us.
That's awesome. Okay, so you moved to a new facility. That's where you are now, right? The bigger one?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And are you almost outgrowing that now?
We've been pretty good. I think we'll be in there for at least the next 9 months, and we'll see where we go. It really depends on, how quickly we go and on the resale end, what we need to do, and how much of the actual manufacturing we start to outsource. So,
man, that's unbelievable. Yeah, I would think that would be a good logical next step if you could control the quality that was output.
Right, and I think we will. There's still going to be pieces that we do in-house just because of the proprietary cutting that needs to happen. But
why couldn't you give that to somebody else who can't do anything with it other than use it?
we could, but we want to make sure that all the IP is completely locked down and solid before we actually send any of that out.
Prior to that.
Yeah.
And how does that look? Are you getting patents on the manufacturing process? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So smart, because those end up becoming large assets.
Well, exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, when we go to sell the business in 5 or 10 years, whatever it is, that intellectual property is really where the value of the business lies. So,
yeah, because a Nikon or a Sony or somebody could want to buy it just for that to be able to use it in their packs.
Oh, yeah.
You'd be the only one using it. Has anybody come up with anything close or similar, kind of copycat?
Not yet.
No? Okay.
No.
So, all right, just going back to this, and I'm sorry, I love all these little details, and I get kind of derailed, but I was trying to figure out the process, because I know you're not back there stamping stuff. So, order comes in, as you get coffee, you walk it back, you place it in the other bin, which I still think is crazy. You just need to go back, put it back in the back, and train your people to pay attention to every note, and probably highlight it.
Oh, yeah, we will.
Yeah, highlight it so that you know that they saw, they have to do. And then they grab it, they pick it up, and they go, okay, cool, we got a 48-inch long TrekPak roll, or sorry, I don't really know. They make it, or grab it off the shelf because it's already been made, throw it in a box, hit ship, and UPS comes once a day.
Yep.
Is that pretty much it?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Wow, that's easy.
It is. It's really, and we're lucky that the product is so simple to manufacture.
Yeah.
So yeah, you grab the roll, you grab the dividers, put them in a box. You make sure that you have the correct pin pack for what the actual product is. Throw that in the box, and then we actually do. We have a piece part list that comes with the product, and so manufacturing checks off to make sure everything's good and it's within our quality control standards. And then we have.
Do you find sometimes that they're not within your standards?
Yeah.
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 What do you do with those?
It mainly comes down to the length of the flutes because there's a little bit of inconsistency. You'll have some dividers that are a little bit too long or too short, so we'll occasionally have to scrap a piece just so that it works. Because the system's rigid and you can't stretch it. In order for the system to work, you have to make sure it's the right length.
Quarter-inch off than the other, and then you're screwed.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're trying to make 2 channels or something, is that what you mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm feeling pretty smart about this whole thing.
Yeah, so we quality control it, and it's out the door.
And it's out the door, and you guys are shipping tens, hundreds, thousands a day. Dozens.
Probably tens.
Dozens.
Yeah, we ship a few dozen a day.
God, if you ever come out to California, I'd love for you to have lunch with my friend Pat from the Olo Clip. I don't know if you're familiar with the iPhone lens Olo Clip. He invented this lens for the iPhone that's now sold in Apple, Best Buy, Target. Yeah, and your kind of growth trajectories and manufacturing are very similar. He's a few more years down the road, and I think they're going to do over $10 million this year.
Nice.
But it's pretty interesting to see his plan, how everything runs, and I think you guys would probably hit it off.
Yeah, definitely.
You have a very similar business. So anyway, all right. Moving along, what's the just trying to figure out, I mean, your business now, your work now is working on growing the business, right?
Correct.
And you're pretty excited, you're passionate, and you're really seizing the moment in all of this, which I think is great. Some of the people we have on literally are working an hour a week or even less. Some are traveling, and you're choosing to kind of. Let me ask you that. Let me put it this way, actually. If you stopped working today, would orders still be coming in, getting fulfilled, shipping out the door? And not you, not your company, but you. Say I'm going to take a vacation for a month and take off.
Right. Back in August, I was out in Vietnam for almost 2.5 weeks, which is not a month, but 2.5 weeks,
Recently?
No communication, hiking in the jungle, and everything continued just fine.
Just fine, yeah. And the main reason you're working hard right now is to really capitalize on what the growth and the momentum you have and build something bigger and better. Right? Yeah. So,
yeah.
But is it true that pretty much every night while you're sleeping, orders come in?
Oh, yeah.
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 I love it. It's been, I think it's been almost 2 years now since I've not made money while I'm sleeping. And it's such. Do you ever in the morning wake up like, oh sweet, we did $1,000 last night?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You go along, and we find it fun too. It's this game for us of what country that somebody ordered from that has never ordered before. So we got a map that, you know, somebody from like the Isle of Man or something orders, and we all get excited.
Cool. You know, I'm doing that with this podcast.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm listened in now in over 150 countries.
Awesome, huh?
Yeah, just I think roughly 40 more to go.
That's crazy.
And I'm pretty sure 39 of them don't have internet anywhere in the country.
Right?
Yeah. It's like the center of Africa is like I can't get it. That Greenland. Anyway, so all right. So just moving along, and I was just going to ask you about your website. Do most of the orders now come through your website?
Yes.
Do you guys do any email capture there?
Yes, we do.
You do?
Yep.
Are you guys doing any email marketing?
We're starting to.
Yeah.
For a while we didn't, and it came down to time and then personnel. So now that we're growing on our personnel side, we have availability to do that, and it comes down to branding and the identity and all that as well. So
get it. So that thought came from when you were talking about doing $1,000 while you sleep or whatever. When you were on the flight and you should have been probably sleeping in Seattle, you did 15,000 that day or something.
Yeah.
I'm sure you haven't had any major days like that, have you?
Oh no.
Well, that thought went through my mind as we were talking earlier, and Devin and Melanie Duncan from Custom Greek Threads, which is also they do manufacturing of clothing, and their biggest boost in the business, one was AdWords, and then two was kind of mastering email marketing.
Right.
And they do giant Black Friday sales, and that database is just huge. And I would think, well, you guys are already growing, whatever, but that's a big opportunity, I would think, for you guys in the future.
Oh yeah. For us, it came down to production availability and kind of the supply chain, because with the lead times on the various materials, we wanted to make sure that we didn't actually run out of product and oversell.
Yeah,
so we controlled our marketing in order to only push out the door what we knew we had in stock. Because we actually ran, back in May, we didn't ship product for about 3 weeks because we were completely sold out.
How'd you handle that?
So we notified all customers that there was a back order and that they could either refund and then purchase again in the future, or not. And we worked on those good relationships that we had built with our supplier.
How many people ordered during that time that you had to notify? This is 100, 200?
Couple hundred.
Yeah. How many asked for a refund?
I think 2.
I knew you were going to say that. I thought you were going to say 0, actually. But some people might have needed it for a trip they were taking in a week.
And that's what it was. It was 2 people that said, thanks, but I got to go on a trip, and so I got to order a different system, but I'm going to use you guys in the future. And we've since sold to them, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good that can come from being transparent. I'm sure those 200 people that waited probably were still just as excited when they got it, even though it was late, and probably had a tighter...
Then when they finally got it, they were almost so jazzed and excited that they instantly hit Twitter with images of their cases, and they were excited. So that then helped us because people were talking about it, and people were seeing images of the system all pulled together. So
that's so awesome. All right, so what's next for you? You guys are working on some new product lines?
Yeah, we have so many different ideas bouncing around in our head as to how accessories that we want to add to this system. If we want to change the system at all. And then we have ideas for different products as well, but that would be totally unrelated to TrekPak. But, yeah, accessories come first. We've got, anytime you're playing with a case or, somebody has the system, they say, oh, have you thought about doing this? And have you thought about doing that? And so
you get some great ideas that way, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing, can you reveal anything that's coming out or coming up?
Just different accessories like some sort of net or something that could go over a section of your case to try and keep stuff organized.
Because you could you could put the pins to hold the net in place.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Oh, that's cool.
We're trying to work on a dual layer system. So for these bigger hard cases, how do you get one layer of stuff on the bottom and then have a tray with our system that can lift out. Pretty simple, but more needed for people that carry bigger cases, higher level gear.
Are you doing that?
We're working on it right now.
Trying to think how it would be done. You just said tray. I'm like, oh, boom, that's it. You just have a tray with some holes in it, and you use the pins to hold it in place.
The problem is, it sounds really simple here.
Yeah.
In your head, and then you go to manufacture it, and you go, okay, this is hard.
Do you guys have a 3D printer there in the office?
No, we don't. No.
Should get one.
We'll just do a Kickstarter project so we can raise funds and then purchase a 3D printer.
No, they're so expensive, especially the good ones. Yeah, Pat has one in the Olive Clip one, and I guess it takes 5 hours to make an iPhone case or something like that.
Yeah.
Something
it'd be fun for prototyping, but
it's expensive as hell though. The ink, I think he was telling me they can make, 3 or 4 prototypes, and they burn through $1,000 in ink.
Yeah, I'd rather spend $1,000 on a product.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So, all right, very cool. Man, I think it's just such a cool story, and this is I've had a lot of interviews like this lately where people have just found problems and created solutions to it, and next thing you know, they're no longer working the job that they had before, and they've got this great successful company.
Right.
It'll be interesting too to check back in with you in the future and kind of see how manufacturing played out, and then how growth played out, if it was from new products or different kinds of marketing or whatever. Side question, I guess, are there any books that you've read? Oftentimes people will ask me, what good books would you recommend or read? Have you read any business books or marketing books or motivational books that you think have helped kind of shape who you are or push you forward towards where you are now?
So the latest book that I actually finished the Steve Jobs biography, which was pretty good. But I don't think everybody's read that one.
Yeah. What was your biggest takeaway from that book?
Probably that, hard work and perseverance is really what needs to be emphasized for anybody that's trying to start a new venture or business. You're always going to have, the public and even advisors and, people that are supposed to be telling you what to do that disagree with you. And you have to be able to step back and listen to what people want and then what, your team wants. But at the same time, the challenge in that is really where the value comes. So if you can don't use criticism as being negative. Use it as a positive, and try and tap into all the knowledge and everything that you've learned, and turn it around to convince your team and the public that your opinion is right and it's going to help progress your brand forward. Which is, I think, really what Jobs did. Some people disagree with his attitude and the extreme amount of tenacity that he had, but I think at the end of the day,
that was mine. I finished that.
Just his willingness to not sacrifice and use his mind and his education to become better and push the brand forward was so great.
Yeah, that was my biggest. You mentioned his tenacity, or that was my biggest shock. I didn't know what an asshole he was, and when I read that book, I was just like, wow. And I hope that's not what it takes. But I think there were so many other components as to what made him successful. I think that just came along with the package.
Oh, yeah.
But those are all good points in that book. Any other great books that you've read? Do you read a lot?
I don't read a lot, and it comes down to I'm more of a visual person, which I guess reading's visual, but I'd rather talk to somebody. So I try and put a lot of really knowledgeable people around myself and have that interaction and that communication. I learn better in that type of tactile format than reading a book. But I read one not too long ago. I don't remember what it was called, but it was like A New Way to Work or something. But it talked about how to kind of change the way that you think in order to make your consumers relate to you more, but not abuse you. Because as a business owner that's selling a product, and even if you're selling a service, consumers don't realize the amount of work that goes into the backside of it. So you have to be able to gain their respect and have them see you as a person and not just a thing, because email and that web interface really takes the personability out of the situation. So they had some really. I'll have to look it up and tell you what it was.
But it was good and impactful.
Yeah, they had some really good ideas and thoughts and whatnot.
You'll if you're listening to this, I'll put it on the website because Georgia is going to hang up and go look for the book and tell me what it was.
Right, I will.
It sounds fascinating, though. It sounds good. I thought you were going a different direction with it, but I get what you're saying now. How no longer are we doing as much face-to-face retail kind of stuff in the web, and a lot of it can just kind of kill what helped you be successful in the past, which might be your glowing personality, your employees, whatever. So cool. All right. Well, are you? So what's the website again? Is it TrekPak.com?
Yes. Yep.
And are you on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn,
We are.
Instagram? Yeah.
Yeah, we're on both.
Do you handle that account?
Yes, I do.
So if somebody shoots a message, that'll be you?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
For
You're
right
on,
now.
you on Instagram too?
Pardon?
Do you have links on your site to your social stuff?
Yeah, we do. We
Okay.
do.
I'll link those up on themoneypillow.com as well and link this interview. So if you're listening and want to go look there, don't do it while you're driving.
Please
Do it
don't. No tweeting and driving.
No, and they will. Because
I know.
I do it from time to time, and it's bad. So I know if I do it, I'm sure lots of people do it. So anyway, all right. Well, Georgia, very, very cool. This has been a great interview. I'm just super excited by your story. I think it's so cool. You found a solution out there. This is very Steve Jobs-like. He looked at the world, I think, a lot and saw so many things that could be improved, and you did that with this product, and it built something great. And I can't wait to see, what's next for you, what you come out with next, what the direction the company goes. Would you be open to coming back on in like a year from now?
Definitely.
Yeah, I think it'd be amazing to do
sure.
a follow-up because I know your business is, I think it'll transform. Well, it's obvious at the growth rate you guys have, where you are right now.
Even where we were at this point last year, it's completely different. So we're going to be excited to see where it goes as well.
That's so exciting. Awesome. All right, Georgia. Well, thank you so much. And
thank you.
I appreciate it. Do you have any? I'll turn it over to you if you have any final words. If you want to say anything.
I don't know.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Everybody should go jump off a cliff and learn how to fly on the way up.
There you go.
It makes life so much more interesting.
That's pretty much what you did with this project, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You only get one shot at life. Make the best of it.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, Georgia. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll see you.
All right, bye.